And welcome to part 2 of Sonic Mania. We're back with Flying Battery Zone. And once again, this is a stage that... Wait a second, I completely forgot to mention this when I was talking about representation of Sonic Free in part 1. Look at me, I'm a complete goof. Well, yes, this is another stage from Sonic and Knuckles, specifically, although, you know, there were actually supposed to be one game. You know, I'm one of those weirdos who actually still considers Sonic Free and Sonic and Knuckles to be two separate games just because how long they are. Like, when you put them together, it's like... How many zones is that? Like 14? If they all have 7 each. Although it might be more than that because I think there's like... Wasn't Hidden Palace Zone like a one-act thing? Doesn't really matter. This stage is freaking awesome. Every stage in this game is awesome. There's no point even saying that, honestly. They're all so wonderfully designed because they walk that perfect line between not necessarily being challenging, but they do require you to, like, give a shit when you play, but it's also not obtuse, it's not way too hard. It's very well balanced. You know, like, this whole game just feels so perfectly... I feel like it was just very rigorously play-tested. Just every single level feels like it was played through at least 500 times to make it as good as it could possibly be, you know? But, like, by different people. Because, you know, when one person plays the same level over and over again, they just get used to it, and they don't actually want to change it anymore. It's like demo-itis, but for video games, you know? What you want to do is get a bunch of different people to test it, so they can give you these fresh opinions. And, you know, I wonder... It actually makes me wonder, what was the demographic they were using when playtesting this game and, you know, getting people to... Because they always have to have these focus groups and stuff, right? Even for a project like this. That's not quite as corporate, but it's still pretty corporate. But, you know what I mean? I wonder if they got, like, people who were, I guess, the true target audience, which is people, I guess if they were born in the 80s to be children in the 90s, that means they would be in, like, what, their 30s or something when this game came out? Like, mid-30s? I can't do the math in my head right now. Actually, you know what? I can do the math in my head. Let's do it. So, let's say you were born in 1985, so you would be 10 years old in 1995, so you would be, you know, 20 in 2005. Okay, yeah, so 30-something, basically. I'm right. Come on. Or did they market this towards the supposed demographic of Sonic, which would be children, which, again, that's not actually the fucking demographic. You'd think they would get a 9-string metal song in Sonic Frontiers? Like, 9 strings! Most metal bands, like, the really heavy ones, they only use, like, 7, maybe 8. 9 strings! Jesus Christ. But, you think they would do that for, you know, a game that's marketed, that's, like, rated, like, what, free plus? No, what was Sonic Frontiers' rated? I think it's 7 plus, actually. But yeah, it's like, that's the thing about certain franchises like this. I believe that the people making them are fully aware that it's most popular among not the actual demographic, you know? Like with 3D Mario games as well. 2D Mario games, those generally can still appeal to kids because they're a little simpler, and I could totally see, like, a child nowadays playing Mario Wonder, for example. But I can't see anyone under the age of, like, my age, you know, under the age of 20-something, playing something like Mario Odyssey, because it's just, there's so much shit to it, you know, so it's really overwhelming. I mean, I can't even fucking stomach a game like that. Even though it is a very good game, it's not my preference of what kind of game I want to play. Oh yeah, that was the boss, by the way. It was ridiculously easy. You just fucking jump it. Because I had the double jump, I could just just cheese him like that, basically. Yeah, the shields, I can't believe I haven't even talked about this, but the elemental shields are in this game, just like in Sonic 4. I kind of wish that they had, like, maybe one extra shield. Like, they could have just stolen that one shield from, Sonic After the Sequel, a game that came out several years before this. They could have fucking stolen that, to be honest. And, you know, as long as they credited the guy who made it, I forgot what his name, Leap something. Why do I want to say Leapfrog? I know that's not it. That's not it at all, but whatever. But the guy who made it, you know, they could have just gave him credit for that. Because, you know, he came up with this spike shield, which has, like, it's similar to the bubble shield, but you don't bounce, except when you hit a badnik or a monitor, you go super high up into the air, and it protects you from spikes. That would have been cool to see in this game, but maybe that would have made some sections a little too easy. But they could have made it, like, super hidden, you know, really hard to find. Whatever. Point is, you know, the shields return, and they're really well utilized, as you would expect, especially the Flame Shield in Oil Ocean. That shit is hilarious. But it's interestingly selective of which bits of oil actually are affected by it, but that's a different story. God, see, this is the awesome, like, second act, right? Where everything... For fuck's sake, let's just... Hold on. Physics! Yes! Physics! Okay, I'm not, like, a physics whore like a lot of Sonic fans are, where it's just like, oh, it needs to have this perfect pinball physics. No. I don't really care about that, but it is kind of cool when you can do something like that. To be fair, though, I think that could have been possible in Sonic 4 as well. I don't know. This is obviously still the better game, though. Oh, for fuck's sake, Tails. Oh, because his hands are slippery. Because it's raining. Wow, that is actually really, really clever. I did not expect that. I mean, or maybe it's a glitch. No, that's my in-universe reasoning, okay? Because it's raining, so its hands are slippery. Even though they wear gloves. Okay, whatever. Maybe they're really slick. I think there were some secrets. No, there's just some rings over here. Oh, I hate that. I never figured out how to get there. Yeah, if you can't tell, I don't really spend too much time exploring these stages, even though they are definitely made with that in mind, because it is like classic Sonic level design, where it's all about just finding all the cool stuff. But I don't care. The levels are so well designed as it is. They're so fun. The enemy placement is just right. That it's not the kind of... It's not like Sonic CD where you have to sort of try and 100% it to get like the most out of the game. Here, this right here is just getting the most out of the game. What else could I get out of it? It's just an awesome linear... Even though it's not actually that linear, but it is kind of linear, you know, like a great 2D platforming experience. You never really have to push too hard to... Oh, wait a second. What is this area? Is this a dead end or... Oh, a bubble shield. Can I get it? Yes, I can. And there's a thing... Oh, wow, that's really cool. And... Okay, no, technically it was a dead end, though, but whatever. Let's have the bubble shield now so we can do some bouncing and deflect projectiles because multi-utility. Man, he's... What the fuck? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I guess they would hurt you, but that was kind of annoying. Speed shoes! No, I missed the speed shoes. But yeah, like, when I'm playing Flying Battery in this game, I don't really feel like I'm playing, oh, it's Sonic Free again. No, I mean, they've changed so much about the levels inherently. The level design is completely different. And look at all this, like, random shit everywhere. And all these different motifs, and the color palette's a little bit different as well. It's just enough to give it its own identity. Like, I think of it as like, oh, it's Flying Battery from Sonic Free. But it's also from Sonic Mania. In a way, I think I'm going to talk about this in my final thoughts because I've written those in advance. What I do is for my final thoughts during these Let's Plays, I will just write them like a typical script, like I would any scripted video that I used to do. It might still do at some point, I don't know, but I really like doing this right now, so I'm just keep doing this. But I talk about how basically these are my favorite versions of every level. Like, I don't actually see myself going back to the original Sonic Free just to play this. There's still way more, like, there's still tons of value to playing the original games. This isn't some remake or re-break type shit where it's like it's a replace. No. This is not a replacement for the original trilogy, but it's definitely a greatest hits. But more so than something like Generations. Generations was really it took all these classic levels, but it completely changed them. Like, that was a totally different game. The only thing Sonic Generations has in common with the games that, I guess, inspired it, is the fact that that's how the levels are called, and that's how they look and sound, but in reality, it's a totally different game. This is definitely more of a greatest hits, but in a good way. Also, look, it's Omelette. I've never been able to see it. Honestly, no amount of fan art can make me see that as a different character than just Eggman upside down. I can't see it. I don't see Omelette in that. I'm sorry, Internet, but, yeah, that just doesn't work for me. You know, all I see is just Eggman upside down, and I love the sprite rotation on this shit as well. Also, you can actually hit him here. I used to think it was just a tease. Nope. There you go. You can hit him if you spin dash. So you can get some extra damage in there. And is this the first time we get to hear, like, the best boss theme in the game? Because that's so good. Like, the freaking, like, what's really interesting about T-Lopes' style is that there's so much heavy jazz influence and just weird chords, but at the same time, he still has a very strong ear for catchy melodies that never leave your head, you know? He doesn't let the progressive, oh fuck, if I just realized, if I don't make this, yeah, he has a really, really strong sense of melody. It's just as catchy as the originals, honestly. Like, these compositions will go down in history just like how the originals did. You know, this is some top tier stuff. And that guy deserves so much fucking credit. You know, he did a great job on the Superstar soundtrack as well. But I feel like this is just a smidge better, like especially the original compositions, although the remixes are great too. Although I do kind of like Superstar soundtrack a little bit more than like your average NPC person. Not to say it's amazing though, because some of the loops can be a little bit short and grating, and it's the Sonic 4 thing, whatever. Original Zone number 2. That right there was a reference to Sonic 2 on the Game Gear, I believe, which I don't really want to play, to be honest. The Game Gear games are really cool for what they are. It's really neat that they're like original. They're not just shitty Sonic 1 and 2. No, they're totally different games. They stand on their own with their own levels. Well, for the most part, except Sonic 2 for some reason had Green Hills, I think it was. It wasn't Green Hill. It was Green Hills, plural, zone. So that's different. Yeah, you should try those games. They're really weird. Obviously, my introduction to those games was through Sonic Adventure DX, because that game had all the Game Gear games and stuff in there. Oh, look at the 3D effect. That's one thing I've always noticed about classic Sonic, and including this, that it's just, they've always begged for 3D. That's the interesting thing, how contradictory it seems, the whole, like, Sonic never worked in 3D, when, like, the games have been begging for 3D in a way. I think it works great in 2D, but presentationally, Sonic has never been flat. That's the really interesting thing. Like with Sonic 2, the special stages, they try to go for 3D. Sonic 3 as well. This game has the fucking polygon special stages, which I've yet to show off even once, but I should be able to find at least one red ring at some... Red ring, for fuck's sake, one special stage ring at some point. When, you know, obviously they're a reference to Sonic R, but with better controls, haha. Actually, no. Sonic R's controls, when you use the L and R buttons, or well, technically they're triggers, like on the GameCube controller when you're playing the Gems Collection version, and even the original on Saturn, that's how you can turn way better. That's how the game was designed. It was designed with that leaning in mind, and it controls really well that way, to be honest. I still find that game to be a really interesting sort of experiment with how it's technically just a racing game, but it's kind of structured like a conventional platformer anyway, with all these collectibles and bonus objectives, and it's just so weird. They really try to get the most out of those 5 levels they were able to develop. You know, it feels like they were just, like Traveler's Tales, just trying to squeeze as much out of it as they could, and I still think Sonic R is kind of cool. You know, is it Mario Kart 64? No, fuck no, not even close. But is it a really interesting little thing that exists and has some of the best music ever fucking composed by mankind? Yeah, absolutely. Come on, I know you can do this. So, okay, Tails, help me out. I want to get those rings because I want those lives. Because lives, you know what? They actually kind of do mean something. I was going to say they don't mean anything because it's a modern game. You know what they do? Because if you lose all of your lives, you get sent all the way back to the start of the first act of whatever level you were on. So you still want to have as many of them as you can, because you would be losing at least a few minutes of progress. So yeah, you do actually want to be collecting the lives. You know, I do like that. Here's the thing, lives inherently are kind of a dated design choice, right? They're a fragment of a different time, but they do have that tension and release. There is a reason why some games, even newer ones, will still use them. Sometimes I don't agree with their inclusion, but, you know, they're not always a death sentence for a game, especially when a game is very lenient with them. You know, and plus it always feels good. Like, it's just programmed into our gamer brains to enjoy the sound of a 1-up jingle, to like seeing that number in the corner go up, even if it doesn't mean anything, you know? Like, for example, if I'm playing a game where I've been playing it for so long that I got 99 lives and I die, I know I'm never ever gonna die 98 times in a row, but I'm gonna go out of my way to get that life back, just because I like seeing that number at 99, you know? Oh, for fuck's sake, you were supposed to go down anyway. Look at the spinny feet. I love how it's a combination. I think Sonic 2 originally was gonna have these kind of, like, spiral spinny feet, rather than the more clean looking ones that they have normally. So this is one of those bosses that no one actually fights the way you're supposed to. What you're supposed to do is lure him into destroying one of these boxes, one of the real ones, not the ice ones. like this. Ow, my freaking thing. And then you fucking try and air dash into them. But I just do this and then like use the invincibility frames. Come on, who actually try? Because like there's no point in keeping your rings at this point because your rings get reset when you start a new act. So you might as well just do this. There you go, dead. There's no reason. I mean, you get like a ring bonus or something, but who fucking cares, honestly? Like, we're not that far back in the past to care about school. Ooh, voice crack. Shield, nice. And I like how they changed the shield design so that like it actually looks good at any frame rate. Because back then they would just have it flicker. Because they couldn't have proper transparency, so they had it flicker, which looked fine at 60 hertz on a CRT, but every single freaking old Let's Play of a Sonic game at 30 or even lower than that FPS, it would either be one of two things. Either the shield would never show up, or it would completely cover Sonic. You know, it was always one of those two. So it's interesting how they worked around. I mean, of course they worked around it, because I highly doubt that this engine genuinely adheres to the limitations of actual Genesis. No, this is a modern game engine. You know, I mean, I think it's... What is this? Isn't this running on Sonic Retro? Because Christian Whitehead developed this, right? I mean, other people helped him out with this. It's not a one-man project or anything. This isn't like some fan game. No, this is a fully developed game. It's just that this all started when I think Sega, you know, took note of Christian Whitehead's Sonic Retro project. I believe that's what it was called. It was like a really fateful... was it open source? Was it like an open source recreation of the classic Genesis physics, or... I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, that's kind of how it goes. And this is obviously like a modern game. It's not gonna have to be limited in that way, but still, and I think that's why there's the appeal of these kind of games that limit themselves selectively, you know? Because when you feel like you can do anything, you kind of lose track and you just end up making your game a complete mess. And if you limit yourself too much, then you make something that just feels antiquated for no real good reason. But you have to be selective. Right, this game chooses how it wants to be limited, so it's not going for some shiny 3D graphics, and when it does have 3D graphics, they're intentionally primitive, and that's fine. But it also has widescreen, it has buttery smooth frame rate with zero slowdown on anything ever. I mean, I've played the PC version on a freaking Pentium N3540, I think, you know, super weak CPU. Well, okay, it's not the worst thing in the world. It has 4 cores, but only 4 threads, though, and the point is, you can run this on basically anything, you know? And that's, you know, primarily due to the fact that it limits itself in this way, but it doesn't limit the things that would actually improve. So, for example, there's no continues or anything. There's no like, oh, you died this many times, well, fuck you, go all the way back to the start of the game. No. That's not how this works. You know, it takes elements of the past, elements of the modern, and just fucking makes an incredibly good, solid game. I'm just gonna be saying this shit the whole playthrough, because that's what this game deserves, just to have... every single orifice of itself, something, I don't know. Okay, we're actually at the end of Press Garden. I didn't really talk about Press Garden at all. I don't know, I think this level speaks for itself. It's gorgeous, the music is awesome in both acts. Look at the freaking leaves! Look at the leaves! Hold on, I think, can you see my mouse? I don't know, but look at the leaves! That's fucking gorgeous! Yeah, the level design is obviously very solid, as you would expect. I don't fucking know. This isn't really a review, plus I give my final thoughts at the end, but this is the boss that actually gave me quite a bit of trouble when I first fought him. I don't know why. He's not even hard. Literally, all you do is you... Look at this. Like, you just run into him. You wait until he jumps. Come on, there you go. You wait until he jumps. Hit him. He froze those what were they called again? Not asteroids, but okay, so maybe you should try and pay a little more attention when you're, you know, playing a level in a boss in a video game, because sometimes you get hit by things you don't see, not because they're not visible, they are. You just suck. Okay. Somehow I was able to stun him even though he was in a... Okay, this is why I found him challenging, because I have no idea how to avoid those things. They just kind of appear, and I have to just hope they don't hit me. And sometimes he... Oh, and sometimes he just doesn't throw them at all. Anyway, now it's time to move on to our final level. And, yeah, it's the first of 2 that represents the odd one out. The odd game, you know, that one. I think you already know what this means right here. Metal Sonic's design is kind of weird in that little hologram image, whatever. Yeah, we're ending this episode with Stardust Speedway. So you know how sometimes people say that something sounds like it was dipped in honey? This music is what I imagined they mean, because like, oh my god, listen to this shit. If this were any smoother, it would be like the frame rate on an old PC game running on a modern PC. You know what I mean? I'm talking like 2000 FPS plus. This is the smoothest music I've heard in my life, man. And at this point, you'd think Catelopes just straight up got full credit for this, because this arrangement is so different compared to the original. Just as a whole, a lot of the motifs are the same, like this. Like, that's the same motif, right? The one you'd normally hear in the song, but it's such a different feeling. This sounds nothing like the past version of Stardust Speedway. And it's gorgeous. I mean, the original Stardust Speedway Past is really great as well. It's super cool and funky, but oh my god, this is amazing. Like, I literally don't have much to say when it comes to the level itself. Well, it's not quite as much of a clusterfuck, because I feel like this game does a better job differentiating the layers. Because, you know, the thing about Sonic CD is it had, like, in the original Sonic CD, Stardust Speedway had this layering system where you would flip these panels and it would change, like, the dimension, I guess, that certain tiles were on, allowing Sonic to move through or on top of them, and it was really weird. Basically, here most of that is gone, and you just kind of run through. It doesn't try to mess with you anymore. It's very straightforward, and it's a really enjoyable level. Really, for fuck's sake, I always jump out of that guy because I think, oh well, he's big and red. Maybe I can stand on him. No, I can't. Although it does kind of bother me a little bit that, look, doesn't that look like it's a part of the background? But it's not. I can stand on it. It's weird. Also, it still has the boost pads because of course it does. Got the, were those ever in the original? I don't think those were in the original, those, spiraling pillars. Yeah, anyway, we're all pretty much done with the stage. Here it is. This is the little mini-boss right here, and that is gorgeous. That's also from the original, actually. I believe that structure changes depending on which version of the level you are in. Like, if you're in the past, it looks one way. If you're in the future, present, good future, bad future, you know, all that stuff. The game was so weird, but yeah, this is just a minute. It's such an easy mini-boss, but that's okay. I mean, they don't really have to be all that hard. It's just, I can't... It's because you can't really imagine a level ending without a boss anymore, which is how these games are designed. Also, I don't really waste my time, like, bouncing that, the goalposts around, because it doesn't really... It gives you a couple points. I think you can get some, like, extra items and stuff, but yeah. Oh, what's gonna happen now? Future. It's interesting, though, because he does that, but he only goes to the present, which makes sense because he only hit one future sign. But then why did he even bother with... Well, I guess it's Sonic. He's got to do the right thing, so we're going to do that. And this is Stardust Speedway Act 2, and yeah, I love what they did with this. You know, with both Sonic CD stages, how they're like, they made sure to acknowledge at least to... Oh, finally, yes, we can show off the special stages. So this is the Sonic Mania special stage. As you can see, it's very Sonic R. Not quite the exact same. This is a very different model, obviously. And I love how it also has some design cues from the original Sonic 1 special stages with all the birds and stuff. It's just such a fucking trip to look at all of this, but it looks fantastic. You know, it's low resolution on purpose, and the gameplay is really fun. Like, these are very speed runnable. I believe you can actually keep up with the UFO even in Mach 2. Like, generally, what you want to do is get to Mach 3, of course. Come on, but as you can see, I'm keeping up when I'm even in Mach 2. In fact, we're going to get it right now. These are not very difficult special stages. That's not a bad thing necessarily. You're not going to see any more of them because, again, this isn't a 100% playthrough. But that's what they look like, and they are very, very cool. It is a little bit odd though. Like, look at the lights. Those lights look way higher resolution than everything else. They don't look like... They just look like a, I don't know, like a shape that's then been blurred, you know? Or feathered or something like that. Instead of... Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But they look higher res than everything else. I don't know. It's still really cool. And it's a really pretty level to look at. And look at those sparks. When you spin dash past the, but not even spin dash, even when you run past those, like, what are those anyway? Guardrails? I don't know, there's all these just design cues from the original that just have been maintained. Of course, the fireworks! Wee! Look at that, it's beautiful. Wasn't there a reference to Sonic R here with, like there was a diamond-shaped pattern in the sky? Yeah, there's another ring, I'm not gonna go for it, though. Wait, there it is! Because you're my diamond in the sky. It's not going to work with this. This composition is very different, so I wouldn't be able to sing over it. Although I think Diamond in the Sky was one of the more, like, normal songs from Sonic R. Is in, like, I can listen to it and pick out the chords without having to slow it down to, like, fucking 0.5 speed to figure out what's going on, because Richard Jocks, is that how you pronounce his name? That guy's insane with his harmony sometimes. And we're on to the Metal Sonic fight. And yes, I will be showing off the separate fight, as I already mentioned in part 1, because this fight changed quite a bit post-updates. Look at the furry animals, just like in Sonic CD when... Actually, I think it was flowers in that game, but whatever. His colors are a little bit different, aren't they? Yeah. And we got that sick remix of, what was it? Stardust Speedway Bad Future. It's very different, though, again. I like how the remixes really do range between... just straight up the same thing but with better sounding instruments to a completely new composition. This isn't completely new, but it's definitely got a different vibe to it, especially with the drum pattern. Holy shit. I'm just talking about the music this whole fucking playthrough, because I mean that's really what sticks out to me most personally. Now this is the bit that a lot of people got stuck on when the game came out. I don't really blame them though. It's like the game doesn't really do a good job communicating the fact that you're supposed to do this. There you go. And that's it. Like, that's all you have to do. To spin dash into the dude. Oh, wait. He's gonna do a little thing. That's fucking adorable, that thing. Look at him. Oh, fuck. I messed up. Come on. Hit him. There you go. And now, this is when the fight will become very different to what I remember it being when I first played this game when I was 16 years old. Holy shit. Time. Oh, fuck you, Metal Sonic. Stop. I'm trying to reminisce. Damn it. Look, it's the Phantom Ruby. I'm unconditionally... Well, no, I'm conditioned to hate this thing. Okay, so I figured out how to fight this guy most effectively. You use the drop dash. I feel like they designed him this way to justify the drop dash more, because the drop dash is awesome. It's definitely much more than just, oh, it's a speedrunning tool. I mean, it is, but it's not just that. As you can see, it's very helpful for this boss. Look at that, boom. You go in, just don't get caught behind him. That's what will fuck you up. Oh, bombs, easy. Tails, meat shield. Thank you. Oh, for fuck's sake. Tails, you had one job. Look at the weird rotation on him. Obviously, this is a reference to Knuckles Chaotix. Explode. Look at that statue in the background. It's all 3D. Oh, get the Phantom Ruby so we can wear everything you've known has... Oh, fuck you. So, let's say, for example, that you're not playing the newest version of the game. This is the Metal Sonic fight you're going to get. It's... I can see why they changed it ultimately, because, I mean, look at it. You're just running away from a giant wall. Occasionally, you still use the drop dash on him. Nope. And you can't even die because the wall pushes the rings along, which means you're just gonna get the rings again, and then, look at that, see? So you can't even die. It feels like a very last minute thing, so I understand why they went ahead and changed it completely for the updated version of the game. There you go. And, yeah. That was the alternate version of the Metal Sonic fight. I'll be seeing you guys in part 3 of Sonic Mania with, I believe, Hydro City Zone. See you then.